All right, let's dive right in. We're going to tackle a huge question in business today. Is competition really a war? I mean, for a long time, that's kind of been the deal, right? But what if there's a better way to win? A way that doesn't even involve a single battle? Let's unpack this idea of strategic sovereignty. This quote, it pretty much nails the traditional way of thinking, doesn't it? It frames business as a zero-sum game. The whole idea that for you to win, someone else absolutely has to lose, well, that's been the driving force in so many boardrooms for decades. So when you see business as this big battlefield, the goal is pretty simple, right? Crush the competition. You pick your enemy, you line up all your resources, and you just fight for every single scrap of market share. It's this relentless head-to-head slugfest. But okay, if you're gonna play this game, you have to understand something that is absolutely critical. It's not just about your star players or your top executives. The real win, that comes from a deep collective effort from literally everyone in the organization. You know, the old way of doing strategy is often stuck in these little silos. You might have the marketing team focused on one thing, while the C-suite is over here making big decisions in a vacuum. And that just creates this huge disconnect, and it makes the company way too slow to react to what's actually happening out there. A real, sustainable advantage gets built when everyone, and I mean everyone, acts like a strategist. Your engineers, they know the product inside and out. Your customer support team, they're on the front lines, hearing directly from your customers every single day. The finance team gets the numbers. Tapping into all of that collective brainpower is how you build a force that's just unstoppable. Okay, so we've talked about who needs to be on the field. Now we get to the really fun part, how to win. Instead of just playing the same old game, strategic sovereignty is all about rewriting the rules. And there are two really powerful ways to do this. This right here shows the core difference in thinking. It's night and day. On one side, you have the old way, enemies, conflict, fighting over this limited piece of the pie. But on the other side, you've got strategic sovereignty, which asks a couple of radical questions. What if your competitors could actually be your partners? And what if the market isn't a fixed size, but something you can actually grow? And that leads us to our first big strategy, strategic collaboration. I mean, think about it. Instead of pouring all your energy into taking down a competitor, what if you looked for common ground? A classic example of this is the partnership between Apple and IBM. For years, they were the fiercest of rivals, but they realized they could get way more done together in the enterprise market than they ever could fighting. By joining forces, companies can often expand the entire market, creating a much bigger pie for everybody. But what if collaboration just isn't in the cards? Well, there's another incredibly powerful way to change the game, and it's all about finding the competitive gap. Now, this might sound super obvious, but believe me, it's a huge mental shift. Most companies are constantly looking over their shoulder, watching every move their competitors make. They get trapped in the cycle of just matching features and cutting prices. This approach tells you to turn around and look for the empty spaces on the board. This is what we call a gap advantage. See, it's not about being slightly better than the competition. It's about being fundamentally different. Think about how Dollar Shave Club saw a huge gap in the razor market. The big players were all focused on these complex, expensive razors you buy in stores. Dollar Shave Club found the gap. Simple, affordable razors delivered right to your door. They served a customer that everyone else had totally ignored, and that is how you build a position in the market that nobody can touch. So this all sounds great, right? But how do you actually apply this to your own work? How do you start finding these gaps and these opportunities in your industry? Let's break it down into a few simple steps. Here's a quick exercise you can do. First, just pick one of your main competitors. Now, instead of focusing on what they do well, I want you to obsess over what they don't do. Who are they ignoring? What problems are they not solving? What are their weaknesses? Once you've really identified those gaps, you can start brainstorming how you could fill them. So I'll leave you with this question to really think about. What critical gap have your competitors completely overlooked? Because the answer might not just be your next big win, it could be the key to making the competition completely irrelevant altogether.